So welcome to today's class. I think in our previous class we have studied about how the third estate people have worked against, how they have revolted, and now they have finally taken a oath in the tennis court, and now they started forming a parallel government. So I think you remember all those things. And later what happened? So they formed their own constitution also, and there are some features of those constitution. So the third estate people, so which includes the middle class and other professionals, so after their revolt they framed their own constitution. And what are the important features of that constitution? The constitutional features were: the government of France was converted into a limited monarchy. So earlier the monarch or the king used to enjoy absolute powers, and the government used to have very limited powers. But now the government of France was converted into a limited monarchy. That means the power of king was reduced, or he was almost like without any power. Just as a headman he used to remain. No powers were vested with the monarch or the king. So the constitution made government as an absolute majority or absolute powerful institution. So that was the first feature of constitution. Then right to vote was given to only those citizens who paid a certain amount of uh, taxes or possessed property. So that means those days the right to vote. So this is a bit a very different kind of constitutional feature. Right to vote was not given to everyone, but right to vote was given to only those citizens who paid some taxes, or if they possess some property, they possess the right of vote. So this is something, a different feature which was constitutionally given by the third estate people. The National Legislative Assembly was set up with the power to declare war and peace. So what they did, they have set up another institution called National Legislative Assembly. So this Legislative Assembly was given with full powers to even declare war and peace. So earlier it was completely, these powers were also with king or the monarch. So now they have been taken up and it has been assigned to another institution called National Legislative Assembly, and the dominant position was given to the middle class. So in all the government and other areas, the dominating or authoritarian kind of positions or higher positions have been given to middle class, because these were the people who have been denied authority or power since from many years. So these people, they have finally, when they framed their own constitution, they took some dominant positions in the government, and papal control over the church was removed and church was nationalized. What do you mean by papal control? Papal control means, so those days Pope was the head of Catholic Christians, and under him the church used to function throughout the country. But now the control of Pope, or the control of church by Pope and his authority, was removed. So church was removed from the authority of Pope, and Pope was just allowed to remain as a head of Christians, and this church was nationalized. That means it became a national property, and the property of church was confiscated, and the number of churchmen was reduced. So those days church was also influencing the administration, and they used to collect even taxes and all such things. So such powers of church were all removed, and the properties of church were confiscated. Confiscated means they were taken control by government now. Earlier it was under people like Pope and his you know superior, or Pope and his working men. But now it's not like that. The church and its affairs belong to the government. So but the properties of churches are also confiscated, means taken away by government. As churchmen and all the people who work for church were also reduced. Earlier, maybe if they are not useful also, just for their personal benefits, the Pope and others, they used to appoint many church people. So that and all was removed, and the number of churchmen who were working for these churches were also reduced. So after the revolution and the people forming their government, what happened? So that period we study under the post-revolution period. That means what happened after the revolution. We know that they have formed a government and now they have framed their constitutional rules and all. But after that, what happened? What was the situation? So in 1792, the Legislative Assembly, which was the then ruling body, was dissolved. That means it was taken away. This was earlier the ruling, it was like earlier the government kind of thing which was controlling France. But after this new third estate people took control over the country, then what happened? A new assembly was created and it was called National Convention. So what do you mean by convention? Convention means people come together based on a common belief. So all the third estate people who revolted, the middle class, they came together and they started this revolt, and they just working under a common belief. So the the institution which used for running the governance of the country was named as National Convention. Earlier, the governance institution was Legislative Assembly. Now, the governance institution after revolution, it was called National Convention. So this came to power now. So the new assembly called National Convention was elected to power, and this National Convention abolished monarchy. Monarchy means kingship. So from here onwards, the kings are not allowed to involve in the state affairs or in the government affairs. And it completely abolished that king system and established a republican form of government in France. So from kingship governments or monarchical governments, the National Convention has designed what kind of government. See, definitely they need another government to look after people. So, but kingship is not allowed. So they have abolished kingship, and in the place of kingship, to rule people, they have created National Convention. And to create that, I mean, to have that convention, they proposed a republican form of government. That National Convention, which was a new electing or which was a new legislative body, it has created a republican form of government. What is republican form of government? Here the people will elect their representatives, and that representatives will form the government. So by and large, democracy and republican are one and the same. So now in France, what kind of government is there? Republican form of government is established. From what to what? From monarchy to republican government was established. After a legal trial, Louis XVI was convicted of a treason and put to guillotine in January 1793. So, the Louis XVI, who was the former monarch, as monarchy was abolished and all the atrocities done by Louis XVI to suppress the revolt in France, he was legal, he was tried for those things. When a revolt started against the monarchy, he used all kind of cruel methods, right? He sometimes he opened fire on people. So he did many such things. So on all the cruel acts committed by Louis XVI against the revolutionaries, he was taken to a court, and he was uh, he was forced to undergo a legal trial. That means he was inquired for all the atrocities or the crimes he committed, and he was convicted. That means he was proved guilty for what he has done. So all his crimes were proved in the court, and after that, he was given a punishment of death. So in those days, the death punishment was given through a guillotine. So what do you mean by guillotine? So guillotine means it's a structure like this, which it looks like this. So this will be having a blade, a sharp blade, and a person's head will be placed here, and the blade will be left forcibly from the top, and the blade will cut off the head of that person. So this kind of instrument was called guillotine. So this was the punishment which was used for serious crimes in France. Now, the same guillotine was used to cut off the head of Louis XVI, and they have beheaded Louis XVI. And his wife, Marie Antoinette, was also executed in similar way in October. So even the revolutionaries or her trials were also proved, and she was also executed in similar manner. And with the execution of Louis XVI, the monarchies of Europe were quite shocked. So when this revolution of France and when the government in France killed the kings, the other kings or the monarchs in Europe, they were just looking this incident in a shock. And England, Spain, Holland, Prussia, and Austria, they formed a coalition. So the rulers still in England and all, the monarchies were very powerful. And these monarchies in Spain, England, and Prussia and Austria, they influenced their governments and asked those governments to form a coalition. That means to form a group. And what for this group? All these countries together, they started fighting against the French Republic. So the way they have executed the king and queen of France was not liked by other monarchies throughout the world, especially in Europe, and they have come together as a group and started a war against the French Republican government. These wars put a heavy burden on French treasury and allowed the military to gain political power. So again, France got slipped into wars. When England, Spain, Holland all started doing wars on French government, naturally the French government has to retaliate. They also should involve in war. To involve in war, again they have to take money from treasury of France, which was just having the taxes collected from common people. And now again French situation became very tough. Again wars started, again the treasury got started emptying, and military started again gaining power. So as the governments were dependent on the military strength, the military started deciding the political aspects of the country. At the same time, civil war broke out within France as treasury started getting emptied, and again now people's condition became worse in France. Common people, they were not middle class now. The lower or the very common people like farmers, they all started revolting against the government. So millions of peasants rose in the revolt. These revolts were crushed with great difficulty in September 1793. So the country was now France on one hand is fighting with the coalition armies of various countries. On the other hand, the French Republic also started fighting with the civil war, the internal war, which broke out due to the financial crisis. So farmers and many people they started revolting against the government on the other one hand. On the other hand, the coalition armies of Europe they started fighting against France. So, but somehow the French Republic could crush all the civil rebellions. So internally, French government could take control over for some period of time. So the National Convention, as you know that this National Convention was a institution which replaced the National Legislative Assembly. So this National Convention was formed by the revolutionaries, and this convention drafted a new constitution that we have studied already. Now this had the power to choose a new parliament. So the National Convention, it has got the power to choose a new parliament that can govern the country. And under the new constitution, a republican government called Directory was established. So what happened after National Convention has started a parliament? So under this new constitution, a republican government called Directory was established. What was it? It was called Directory. So what do you mean by Directory? Directory means because its executives were composed of 5 directors to run the government. So there were some people called directors. They were the heads or in charges, and these in charges they form the executive wing of the government. See, the government is called Republican government. And for this Republican government, there is an executive wing. And this executive wing has been having five directors. So these five directors were used to run the government. And it was in this situation that Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power and became a popular hero. So during this kind of government formation, Napoleon Bonaparte, he was a military head. So as you know, France was fighting many military wars, and during even revolution, French Revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte, he was a military head, and his role was very significant. And when France was fighting both external and internal wars, Napoleon Bonaparte's role was very significant. So he became the power head and also a popular hero in France by this time. So the French Revolution is having its own significance because it was first a kind of revolution. Never Europe or the rest of the world has seen such a revolution. So for the very first time, this kind of revolution happened in the world in France. So what is its significance? What is its impact? That we will study now. The French Revolution not only influenced France but left an indelible impression on Europe and the whole world. So during this time when revolution was happening against the kings and monarch, it left an indelible impression. Indelible impression means we cannot erase the mark. So the way the revolution carried and the way it got results, it cannot be erased by anyone. So such an impression it got created throughout Europe, also throughout the world. French Revolution served as an inspiration to many people throughout the world. And what was the output of this revolution? What exactly did the world was given by this revolution? There were some ideals. Ideals means they are very they are very moral and they are very correct in their form. So these ideals of revolution have been given. What are those ideals? Like liberty, equality, you know, liberty, like having freedom with some kind of restriction, that is called liberty. Equality means treating all people in the nation equally. Fraternity means brotherhood among all people. Democracy means where the decision of people will prevail. So this kind of new principles or ideas have been generated from this French Revolution, and they became awakened to Europeans and later became popular all over the world. So till French Revolution happened, this kind of ideologies was never known to the world. Liberty, equality, fraternity, democracy, these were not known. Even if you take our Indian constitution, you can see certain principles, right? So that was the impact of French Revolution. And also it awakened the spirit of nationalism. So people for the very first time, they came together for the saving of the country. As the country was slipping into crisis under the monarchs, kings and all, people united. That unity among people was referred as nationalism. For the very first time in the world, this concept of nationalism became very popular from French Revolution. And later, this nationalism concept, which was derived from France, it also made help the unification of Germany and Italy. So in Germany and Italy also, these concepts have influenced a lot, this nationalism especially. It also popularized the concept of democracy and led to the emergence of constitutional monarchy. So the major contribution of French Revolution was democracy. That means decision of people will prevail, majority people will prevail. So, and emergence of constitutional monarchy. That means constitution, which is a set of rule, it should be monarch. The constitution should be given absolute power, not a king. Okay, this is if a king is if a king is head of the country, then it is called absolute monarchy. But if a constitution is head, it is called constitutional monarchy. So France has given the world constitutional monarchism, and many countries also they have tried. I mean, they have tried later to replace this absolute monarchy. So later many countries got influenced from this constitutional principles and other systems, and they also adapted this. And also the French Revolution separated religion from politics. That means there was no scope for, earlier there was particular religion dominating in politics. Now the politics has been separated and religion has been separated, and secularism has been adopted. Secularism means treating all the religions equally, so there is no partiality between religions. So you take political post or you take any other kind of process, secularism was followed by people. So these are some of very important points that describe about the importance of French Revolution. So France under Napoleon. So we just discussed that Napoleon Bonaparte. So under the leadership of Napoleon, what happened to France? So Napoleon, a man of humble background, began his career as a lieutenant in the French army. So under the French commander, he was a lieutenant. That means an inferior officer. That means the commander would be the highermost person for the army, and next to him the lieutenant would be a superior officer. So after the commander, he used to control all the forces. That was his position in the beginning of his career, and he showed remarkable talent as a leader and soon rose to power. So his effectiveness or his credentials were so powerful that he emerged very soon as a leader. So with his skill and with his planning and other such things, very soon Napoleon, who started his life as a lieutenant, very soon became a very powerful person in France. He successfully defended the National Convention against the attacks of the mob. So during the after the French Revolution, what happened? The National Convention was created and internal civil war started. So during this internal civil war, the peasants and all tried to attack the government, right? So when they were making rallies and tried to attack the government, it was Napoleon who controlled these internal rebellions in the country and protected the National Convention. So National Convention was a institution established, and this National Convention created the parliament, right? Republican form of government was created by this National Convention. So this National Convention was an important institution in France, and this was protected from internal civil war when civil war broke out in France by Napoleon with his effectiveness, and he also defeated its enemies. So I told you that the National Convention, which created Republican government, was also facing some external threats. So England, Holland, and other monarchical governments, they attacked France because they have killed the king and queen, right? Louis XVI and his wife. When they were killed, a coalition attacked France. When coalition attacked France, it was Napoleon who also stood very strong with his planning and defeated the enemies. In recognition of Napoleon's bravery, the Directory gave the command of the French army. The Directory gave him the command of French army. See, National Convention was created. This National Convention, later it was responsible for the drafting of Constitution, and as per Constitution, a Republican government should be established, and in this Republican government, the executive wing is called Directory. So this directory was having 5 directors to run the affairs of government. Now, because of the contribution of Napoleon in defending this National Convention from internal war as well as the external wars, he has been this directory, which is executive wing of the government. It has given him the position of commander of the French army. Napoleon became the chief commander of all the French army. That was his highest position he reached. And Napoleon won victories against Austria, Sardinia, and further enhanced his military fame. So even Austria was also king monarchical country which attacked with the coalition. So in the coalition army, Napoleon could defeat Austria, Sardinia, which was the other monarchical country, and he further enhanced his military fame. So Napoleon's military expeditions against the enemies of France were always successful. He could defeat all the enemies of France. But thereafter, Napoleon proceeded against Egypt and Syria with a view to strike at the power of British. So after defeating Sardinia and Austria, then what Napoleon did? He took French armies to Egypt and Syria because these places were under the control of British. And British also attacked France, right? When the king was beheaded, even British was part of the coalition. So he he treated British as enemies. So naturally, he just tried to provoke the British. He just wanted to get rid of British by attacking Egypt and Syria, which were the colonies of British. And when he attacked Egypt and Syria, the directors saw in this plan an escape from Napoleon, whom they viewed as a danger to their position. The way Napoleon was planning and the way he was trying to strengthen himself made the directors, who are the executive wing of the government, as a threat to their position. These directors who worked from France, they thought that Napoleon would one day become so powerful because the way he defeated Sardinia and other places, and now he's trying to even defeat the Britishers, the mighty army. That made them to think that maybe Napoleon would become the ruler of France, which they doesn't like, and they feel insecure about Napoleon's growing popularity. And so what happened later? Napoleon dreams, however, were shattered. Okay, so Napoleon went on an attack on Egypt and Syria against British, right? So when Napoleon attacked Egypt and Syria, who are the defenders of Egypt and Syria? British. So British also sent its army, and there was a battle taken place between Napoleon's army and British army. It is called Battle of Nile. And in this battle, okay, the forces of Napoleon were defeated. So by the commander called Nelson, who belongs to British, he defeated the forces of Napoleon. And now Napoleon lost his dream and he was forced to come back to France. So after losing the Battle of Nile, no, Napoleon came back to France. But when he reached France, what happened? Napoleon found the members of the directory involved in mutual strifes. That means they were having a lot of disagreements, and they were bitterly not in good terms with each other. So there were five directors, right, as executive wing of government. These directors were fighting among themselves. They were having a lot of disagreements between themselves, and because of that disagreements and this kind of differences between the directors, it led to the negligence of their duties. So being executive wing of the government, they should be very much helpful to people in implementing the government decisions, but they were fighting and they have neglected their duties. And by this time, the economic position of the country was also vastly deteriorating. So as many wars were involved and these directors are also fighting among themselves, the economic status of the country started further turning into bad situation. And there was also an imminent danger of a foreign invasion. So when Napoleon returned back to France after losing the Battle of Nile, he observed three things. One was the directors were fighting among themselves. Second thing was the economic position of the country became worst. Third thing was there were even some foreigners waiting to attack France again. So these three things made him to overthrow the directory and prevailed upon the two houses of the legislature to abolish the directory and create the office of consul. So, being a powerful and influential man, after seeing these three situations in France, Napoleon he overthrew the directory. That means he asked the legislative houses of France, French Republican government, to remove this directory. And what he said, instead of this directory, you abolish this directory system and create an office of consul. Consul means he was an official who looks after the interests of people. So in the place of directors, he wanted a consul. Consul is also an institution where an official will take care of the executive duties of the government. So by observing the situations in France, this man Napoleon, he overthrew the directory and he brought, by influencing the two houses, the Senate and the other house, which were in government, to abolish the directory system and bring in consul system. So the consul, which was the executive wing of the government, was designed in such a way that it will have three members, and Napoleon himself became the first consul. So in implementing the decision of the government, which is executive wing, so he said that three members should be present, and that three members, among that three members, the first member was Napoleon, and he became a very vital dictator of France. That means very soon he became so much influential person in France, and even among the consul members, he became a very dominant person. And in 1804, he became the emperor of France also. So France, which got itself liberated from the kingship and monarchism, absolute monarchism, again under Napoleon, turned into a absolute monarchy. So in the name of consul, Napoleon, he turned himself into a powerful dictator. That means he became so powerful that nobody can dare to question Napoleon. And finally, he even became the emperor of France. He declared himself as emperor of France. That we will see in later part of the chapter. There were some reforms introduced by Napoleon. What are those changes that he introduced after becoming a consul member in government? So from 1799 to 1804, he introduced a number of reforms, economic reforms. As you know that country was suffering economically very badly, he introduced some changes in the economy of the nation. He undertook numerous financial measures to check the rising inflation in the country. So what do you mean by inflation? Inflation means the value of money slowly started decreasing. So to make again the value of currency more, he took several financial measures. So let's not go into what measures he took, but he took measures to control inflation. That means the value of money getting decreased was controlled by Napoleon. He also opened the Bank of France to establish government control over the economy. For the very first time, he opened a government organized bank, and this was called Bank of France. So through this Bank of France, the government used to operate the economy. And for the very first time in the France, the bank developed the system of issuing currency besides granting loans to public. So in modern day we have Reserve Bank of India, right, which controls all the currency issue and all in India. Similarly, in those days he has started Bank of France, which controlled the economy, as well as this Bank of France used to issue the currency notes, and also it also had the job of granting loans to public. So thus economically Napoleon tried to set right the position of France. So next reform he introduced was Concordat. So Concordat means it's an agreement between the church and the government. So let us see what happened. He established friendly relations with the church and resolved the dispute that had arisen due to confiscation of church lands in 1789 by settling religious compromise with the Pope. So in the beginning of revolt, we studied that the National Convention has even removed papal influence over church, and it has nationalized church. Affairs of church would be looked after by government. And that was like a disturbance between the religion and government. So once these church lands were also confiscated by government, then there was a gap that got created between Pope and church, Pope Church on one side and the government on other side. Because the government, what it did, it has removed Pope as in charge of churches. On the other side, it has taken away all the properties of churches under its control. So now there was a gap between the Pope Church, and they both became one side, and the government became another side. Now, this gap was resolved by establishing a concordat. So Napoleon tried to fill this gap between government and Pope and the church by signing an agreement. And according to this agreement or concordat, Catholicism was accepted as the state religion. So you know that those days there were the Christians got divided into Catholics and Protestants. Catholics were people who accept church authority. So this kind of Catholic Christians were or Catholicism, that means a church system of practicing Christianity, was accepted as an official state religion. Catholic Christianity was accepted as an official religion by Napoleon so that he could become friendly with church and pope. Napoleon also reorganized the educational system, established the first public school system in Europe. So under his leadership, even first government run schools were also established in France. And code of laws. So Napoleon's code of laws was very significant reform. He prepared a code of laws for civilians. So they were called civil laws. Civil laws means apart from the crimes and the punishment and the laws, there are some civil issues will be happening between people. To solve that civil issues, he prepared some code of laws. They were called Napoleon's Code of Laws. He abolished all privileges and established social equality and introduced trial by jury. So in France, there were some privileges to certain sections of people for a long period of time, right? So before revolution also there was still that practices. Even after revolution, here and there, still there were some kind of inequalities between people. With this code of laws, Napoleon has removed all such privileges, means that kind of any extra comforts or any extra treatment to anybody. Everybody were treated in society equally according to this code of laws. And he also introduced trial by jury. What do you mean by trial by jury? That means anybody, if they do a crime, they have to undergo trial by the judicial system. Trial means they have to be prosecuted, inquired, and later they'll be given the judgment. That kind of punishments or that kind of system was established. And the code became the basis for French legal system in future. So Napoleon's code of laws, they have later responsible for the legal system becoming very powerful in France in the later on days. So after the Napoleon's becoming very powerful, what kind of political unification was brought by him? He wanted to make France a dominant power in Europe. So this was the goal of Napoleon. That means in Europe he wanted to make France a dominant power. That means he wanted to make France as a supreme power. So what he did to that, to follow a vigorous foreign policy. So what do you mean by vigorous? So vigorous means a very strong policy he was thinking to design. So to make France a dominant power, he wanted to create a very strong and energetic foreign policy. So what he did with according to that policy, he started involving in many wars. So until and unless he make wars and defeat others, he can't make France a dominant power. So he again chose wars as a means to make France as a powerful country. Once he set right his home country economically and in other areas powerfully, then he started focusing on making France a superpower in Europe. For that, he thought wars is the good means. He succeeded in carving out an extensive French empire in 1811. He was also successful in the wars he made with other countries, and he created a very vast empire, and he was almost very much successful in making France as a dominant power. So let us see what happened in the political unification. The first coalition. So the first attempt to crush the French Republic was made in 1793 when Napoleon decided to do wars on many countries to make France as a powerful. Then it was for the first time Austria, Sardinia, Holland, Prussia, Spain, England. So what these people did, they all together formed a coalition, that means a group, and they encountered Napoleon. The coalition of all this country versus Napoleon happened. And what was the result of this first coalition? Coalition means people coming together and to fight against French Republic. That means Napoleon. So when Napoleon versus this coalition wars happened, what was the result? The French army under Napoleon's command defeated the coalition. So the coalition forces lost the battle and Napoleon won the battle. So coming to the second coalition, again the other European powers formed another group and again they tried to attack Napoleon. What does this second coalition consist of? The countries like Austria, England, and Russia. So this time Russia, England, and Austria. These three came as together against Napoleon. And this time the French Republic suffered from corruption, lacked funds, and no longer had the services of Napoleon, who was on a military campaign in Egypt. So I told you that in the previous or the earlier slide that when Napoleon was entering back, he was on an expedition to Egypt because his target was British. So British colony was Egypt. So when he was on Egypt expedition, Egypt and Syria expedition, Battle of Nile happened there, and he got defeated, and he came back to France. And the three situations which he observed in the France, one situation was foreign invasion was about to happen. Do you remember that? So he observed that a foreign invasion is about to happen on France. That foreign invasion was attack of Austria, England, and Russia. These three became together and they wanted to attack France. And you know, when Napoleon returned, he observed this foreign invasion. Also, he observed that economically, the directors was fighting. That was one thing he observed. And economically, France was also slipping into crisis. And moreover, Napoleon's war with Egypt also made France to deteriorate economically. So on one hand, Napoleon was having this second coalition, which was group of these three countries. On the other hand, Napoleon was also having the challenge of internal problems in the country like economic crisis and many such things. So because of such things, what happened? The French Republic faced successive defeats. So the Napoleon, he was very busy in setting right his internal position of the country. And but what happened meanwhile? The foreign invasion, the second coalition has won the war here. So Napoleon's army faced continuous defeats with the second coalition armies. Napoleon returned to France in 1799 and replaced the directory with the consulate. So this we have studied what reforms he brought. He created an institution called consulate and he himself became the first consul. So these are all the reforms which happened later in France after getting defeated in all the wars with the second coalition. He was trying to reform his own country because he emerged as a powerful person in country and there was no one to look after the country by this time. And also later he wanted to take revenge on this second coalition. So what he did, he reorganized the French army. After setting economically France into powerful country, he again gathered strength and he started planning against Austria. Now France defeated Austria. So here see in second coalition Austria was very important. So after economically stabilizing the country, Napoleon first waged war on Austria and he defeated Austria also. And when Austria was defeated, there was an agreement. A formal agreement was made between French government and Austrian kings. So that agreement was called Treaty of Lunéville. So Lunéville was an agreement between French government and Austria because Austria lost the war. And in 1802, England also made peace with Napoleon. So the growing popularity and power of Napoleon was so powerful now he could even defeat the England, which was part of Second Coalition. So they also, before fighting war only, what they did, they just tried to make peace with Napoleon, not entering into war, but they understood that Napoleon is having more strength, so they entered into a treaty called Treaty of Amiens, and England returned most of the conquered territories to France. So earlier, France got defeated through the Second Coalition, right? So they occupied certain areas of France. Now, when Treaty of Amiens was made as a peace treaty with England, England gave back whatever it has occupied from France in the Second Coalition wars that happened. So, but Napoleon was no longer satisfied by being the first consul. So he just proclaimed himself as first consul, right? The first executive, highest executive head of the government. But he was not happy with it. He dreamt of establishing his own sovereignty. That means he wanted entire France to be under his rule. So what he did, he influenced the Senate. So Senate is a upper house, right, in France. So this Senate elected him consul for life. He influenced Senate in such a way that the council has given powers or orders Napoleon as a lifetime consul member. That means he cannot be removed by anyone. So this kind of provision he got from the Senate. And 2 years after becoming the permanent consul member, then in 1804, Napoleon crowned himself as Emperor of France. This was a major step. He could now Napoleon was unquestionable in France. Even the Senate or the Parliament houses, nor anybody can question Napoleon. So what he did, he crowned himself as Emperor of France now, and at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. So in this church in Paris, he proclaimed himself as a Emperor of France, and he crowned his wife Josephine as the Empress. So he made his wife as queen, and Napoleon crowned himself as the King of Italy in Milan in 1805. So even Italy was under his control. So what he did, he even proclaimed as a King of Italy. Now he is not only the Emperor of the France, but also he was also the King of Italy. So his growing influence was so vast, and till by 1805, he was like almost dominating the Europe. And what was third coalition? Why did it happen? Why again some other countries started, working against Napoleon? That we will see now. So now France this time third coalition that attacked France was again England, Sweden, Austria, Russia. So these countries who went into different agreements of peace with Napoleon, they could no longer abide by they were no longer following those agreements. Slowly they came out of the agreements with France, and they formed again a coalition or group, and they attacked France. And Napoleon, understanding this, he marched against Russia at Austerlitz. At a place called Austerlitz, he declared war on Russia. And Austria was defeated and had to concede territories to France. So already first time Austria was defeated in second coalition. Again Austria in third coalition it participated against France. So again it was defeated. This time certain places of Austria were confiscated by Napoleon to France. He occupied certain places and he joined those places in France. And the Treaty of Pressburg led to the dissolution of Holy Roman Empire. So those days the Holy Roman Empire had many kingdoms under its control. You take Germany, you take many other places, they were all under Roman Empire. As Roman Empire became weak due to weak Roman rulers, and also on the other hand, this man Napoleon attacked this place, Holy Roman Empire got dissolved. So when Roman Empire got dissolved, it led to the creation of Confederation of Rhine in 1806. So just what do you mean by Confederation of Rhine? Rhine was a major river that was flowing through Europe, okay, through all the European countries. Rhine was the major river and huge traffic was there in this Rhine river. So the countries along this Rhine river were completely confiscated by Napoleon. So he was responsible for the creation of this Confederation of Rhine, and the Confederation of Rhine was composed of Baden, Bavaria, Württemberg, and 13 other minor states of southwest Germany. So these all states were confiscated and they were all brought under one confederacy, under one person's ruling. These states, these 13 minor states, and these states called Baden, Bavaria, Württemberg, along with this of West Germany, they recognized Napoleon as their protector. So after Austria first he defeated Russia, then he defeated Austria, then he went to Holy Roman Empire, he dissolved the Holy Roman Empire and he created a confederation of states, and all those states were those states recognized Napoleon as protector and they pledged to support him in his war efforts. So these states of West Germany and Europe, they finally became loyals to Napoleon. They said even if Napoleon want to continue his expeditions and to make France a superpower, they are ready to help him. Napoleon placed puppet rulers in these German states, so on the thrones of these German states. So these 13 minor states and Baden, Bavaria, I said, right? On all these states, they need some in charges or rulers, and he can't allow the local rulers to be there because they may turn any time against him. So what he did, he kept puppet rulers, those who listen or those who are very very loyal to him. For all these states, he kept puppet rulers, who Napoleon, and even his brother Jerome was a king of the kingdom of Westphalia. So one of the 13 minor states was Westphalia, and his brother was kept as a king for that state. Now you can understand how Napoleon was controlling major parts of Europe. So there was a fourth coalition. Okay, fourth time a group of countries again tried to defeat Napoleon. So alarmed by the growing powers of Napoleon, a coalition comprising England, so these countries are very common, see, Austria, Russia, Prussia, Sweden. Now these five countries, they became one group and they attacked Napoleon. This coalition powers for the fourth time they could successfully defeat Napoleon in 1806. So these five countries came as one group and they were successful in defeating Napoleon. But very soon Napoleon defeated Austria, Prussia and Russia. Okay, but he could not defeat England. So England was so powerful that he could not defeat England, and he was able to defeat all the powers of the coalition except England. So that was the result of the fourth coalition.